Hello, I'm Bonnie Rabicoff, your host of In the Kitchen with Bonnie. We are pleased to bring you the continuation of a new feature, In the Cellar by Marquee Selections. Cribb is with us.
Thanks, Bonnie.
We are in the wine room here at Gaslight Grill, so a thank you to our hosts. This week we are going to feature the wines of Australia, and that's where it all began for you and for Marquee Selections. So before we get to that country and those wines, let's talk a little bit about Marquee.
Okay, absolutely. Well, Australia is where we got our beginnings. And what we have is a company that small business here based out of Kansas City that was looking for a way to get into the wine business. Went to Australia and found that there were a lot of small wineries there. And small in production is like less than 50,000 cases. And those people couldn't export to the United States because it was like every state was its own country, had a lot of pressure to be able to do the whole thing, and so we decided to put a number of those wineries together and bring them under one brand, which is the Marquee Australian Wines brand. Okay. We developed that in 2003, and since then have been growing the wine business. I felt like I kind of got bit by the wine bug myself.
Apparently, and your passion for it is evident not only in talking with you, but of course with the wines that you have selected from around the world. Your portfolio goes?
Sure, yeah, our portfolio has grown from Australia to where we have now a focus on green, sustainable, organic wineries.
Thank you for that.
That are, well, thank our winemakers for that. Yeah. They're the ones that are doing the hard practices to be able to make sure that everything comes as clean, as crisp, as God intended. So what we've done with the other regions, we have Argentina, we have Portugal, Spain, and we're continuing to work on some other new developments that we will be bringing out here in 2011 and 2012. So,
well, you have a wonderful home here on In the Kitchen, in that so many of our chefs care about organic and sustainable. So we appreciate you taking that same care with the wine.
Well, and the other thing that I think your chefs would probably echo as well is that we are providing value wines. We have put ourselves in a niche where we're doing between $10 and $25 per bottle at a retail store. Not the wines that are $100 a bottle. I mean, those are great,
sure,
but they're just not for everyday drinking. And so we wanted to find something
or everyday people.
Everyday people, yeah. That's value driven, but the top of the value driven.
The top of the value driven. So let's go to Australia, where it began for Marquee.
Okay.
And what do we have?
So let's think of Australia first.
Okay.
We'll think of the map and we go Australia as a country. Is a big open space where the middle of it is nothing grows.
Okay.
And so what you look at is you've got wine regions that go along the coast and down through the south. And so what we've selected from Australia here is a Riesling and a Shiraz. We have two series of wines we do from Australia. One's our Marquee Classic series. They're the $11.99 retail wines, and that's where we have the Riesling in. We have 4 wines in that category, and then the Shiraz is a single vineyard specific site in the McLaren Vale, which is in South Australia, right down at the bottom of the world, basically.
All right. So let's talk about the white wine first.
Sure.
Okay, what do we have?
So we have Riesling. And when you think Riesling, a lot of people think sweet.
I do.
What we've done is the Riesling in an off-dry style. So dry is almost mouth-watering. Off-dry goes between sweet and dry. Okay. So it kind of runs the middle there. This is from Victoria, which is in the mountains. Some of the high country there. We get some nice bright citrus fruit to it.
You
know,
do.
a lot of lime and lemon and
what would you pair with this?
I think this would be a great pair for sushi, something not everyone likes, but I do. Okay. It would be a great pair.
Yeah, Did you say seafood?
Seafood. Yes. It would be a great pair for Asian food as well. I think that this would go really well with a nice grilled shrimp. Things that it's very, very versatile, and it actually is a great drink on its own. As a starter for a meal. When you want people to just have something kind of light and palate cleansing. Just the little snacks of some Granny Smith apples and some nuts.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's a good way to start the meal.
It is a good way to start it. And what temperature again? The usual white?
You're going to make this nice and cool. You're going to serve it right about a little off of fridge temperature, so about 45 degrees, and it'll be nice and crisp.
So start pouring it fairly soon after you take it out of the refrigerator.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
now let's talk about the red.
okay. Well, the red we've got is the McLaren Vale Shiraz. As I said, McLaren Vale is in the middle of Australia. The Shiraz is the grape that Australia is known for. The biggest. Is also the same grape as Syrah. So if you see those in a store, you'll know that they are actually the same.
So the grape Shiraz is also the grape Syrah that originally came from France?
It originally came from France.
Okay.
So it's one of the main noble grapes that's grown in the southern part of France, in the region down at the south, and it's there mixed with a lot of other grapes, Mourvedre and Côte d'Aron is an area that Syrah is actually from. So this one here, you find a lot of big, bold fruit. I'd say kind of that raspberry flavor to it. It's got that hint of tobacco again. It's got a
little bit smoky.
It's a little smoky, but when you start to get it on the palate, what you see is that it's got more spice to it. It's got the McLaren Vale region is known for having a big, very full body, so it covers your mouth, it coats your mouth, and then at the end you've got that nice lift of spice left to it.
What would you pair this Shiraz with?
Well, if you're doing an Australian Barbie, cranking up the Barbie, a pork tenderloin would be a very great pairing with this. I like really rich red meat sauces with this. It seems a little. It could stand up for meats as well, but something like a spaghetti bolognese sauce.
So it likes tomato. It likes meat. It likes that rich kind of red meat flavor.
Yes, it likes that rich red meat flavor.
And so what kind of cheeses would you pair with it?
Oh, a cheese. One of my favorites is from Australia. You might have to go to your local cheese store to find it.
Okay.
It's called Roaring Forties. It's a blue cheese. It is a really neat blue cheese, and I think that would be good. I've had some of the Green Hill Dirt Farm, fresh
local
cheese maker. They do a fresh goat cheese that would be a nice pairing with this too.
Okay, so it's fairly versatile. And what temperature for our Shiraz?
For our Shiraz, I would say as it's a little lighter in alcohol, you probably can just go room temperature. You don't really need to chill it down because
don't chill it down. You don't need to.
It's not going to change it very much. If I had this for a few years in my cellar, I would look at maybe going ahead and decanting it so that it doesn't throw any of the sediment in there. It is an unfined, unfiltered wine, so after a few years, you'll get a little bit of a good crust to it on the side when it's on its side. And
so I've traditionally thought of, well, you don't decant white wines, but we were talking earlier, and the purpose of decanting is really to work with the sediment that has
the purpose
collected?
the purpose is really twofold.
Okay.
You have one, you do decanting so that you are opening up a wine to air.
Okay.
So if you have a very young wine, if you've got the $100 bottle that you've always wanted and you bought it early and you want to try it early, decant it, because that will allow it to open up and get some more air and be more like the winemaker intended. Okay. But the second reason is really because of sediment, and that you'll find that with white wines too. If a nice white wine, Chardonnay, had been sitting on its side that it was supposed to age for 10 years, you pulled it out, you'll see a little bit of like a small crystal type of a thing kind of form at the edge.
We don't want to be drinking that.
You don't want to be drinking that, so that's a good reason to decant as well.
Well, you've taken wonderful care in selecting these wines from around the world, and apparently Wine Spectator has recognized your efforts in giving you the highest mark at the most reasonable prices for your wine portfolio. And what do you attribute to that accomplishment?
Well, Bonnie, I really think that there's a couple things. I must say that first, one of the things with our portfolio, our winemakers are the stars. You know, we have our head winemaker down in Australia, Keith Bryan, who's been with us from the beginning, and he has a great palate. He finds the best juice every year for the Marquee brand, and in doing so, he tastes a lot. He goes through a lot to find the best. And so when we found that same philosophy on all of our wines. So everything that we bring in has been blind tasted here against competition that is out in the market, and we find that doing that really helps to make sure that we are giving the best. And giving the best is fine, but we take it a step further by giving unique things. You know, we don't say that we're going to have 100 different Chardonnays. We have one really unique Chardonnay from the Yarra Valley, or one Shiraz from the McLaren Vale. Australian Riesling, a lot of different places are doing Riesling, but we felt like this is something that they were doing that hasn't been shown to as many people here in the United States, and so here we are. Here we are.
So if you want to impress your dinner guests with a unique and delicious wine experience, Marquee Selections would be a place to go. How do we find you? How do we learn more about your portfolio?
Well, we have done a lot to work to put all of these wines on our website, www.marquee.com. We have a toll-free number, so 888-627-7833, which spells Marquee. I know my phone doesn't have those numbers on it anymore, but
and Marquee again is M-A-R-Q-U-E-E.
E-E. And we'd be happy to hear from anybody. On our website, we've got a web store, as well as we have an area that shows all of the retailers and restaurants in the local area. So we like to help support those people.
Okay, well, we appreciate your time, your expertise, and the great care that you take with Marquee Selections. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us into your cellar. We'll see you again next week in the cellar.
Cheers.